Thank you for letting me be a part of your virtual town hall to speak with you today. I promise not to take up too much of your time, but I wanted to tell you a story I've been thinking about recently. A few years ago, I was driving from Raleigh to D.C. for a vote on the Senate floor the next morning. Now, unbeknownst to me, there was a blizzard making its way across Virginia that night. Now, if you live south of the Mason-Dixon line, you know that driving in snow is not one of our better skills. I was going slow and doing my best to follow the tracks of the car well in front of me, but I hit a patch of ice and my car skidded, and what felt like it was an eternity. It crashed into an embankment and rolled on its top with a disheartening crunch. I was all right. I walked away, I was fine, not barely a scratch. But for that moment that I hit that ice, and I finally came to rest on the other side of the road, the whole thing, it lasted about 8 seconds. For those 8 seconds, I thought I might die. I really did. All those cliches that you hear about your life passing before your eyes, well, that's true. I thought about my wife, my boys, and my mama. I'm sure many of you have had similar experiences. A plane has a rocky takeoff, elevator bumps, and you think it's gonna crash all the way down to the ground. Any number of things where for a moment, just a fleeting moment, the thought of your own death crossed your mind. Now, instead of 8 seconds, imagine what that would have felt like if it was 8 minutes and 46 seconds. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Thinking you're gonna die. Knowing you're gonna die. And it's not because some freak car accident, plane crash, no, nothing like that. You're gonna die because 3 uniformed police officers who've been sworn to protect and to serve have decided to let you die, and while a 4th officer murders you in broad daylight, and they give you 8 minutes and 46 seconds just to think about it. Now I watched that video, like the rest of you, in horror and in anguish and in grief, and I saw that officer ruthlessly, almost gleefully, kneel on another man's neck and deciding his life is not of value, that he's less than, that he deserves to breathe no more. And all I could think of was why did this officer do that? Why did he think he was alive to do that? And then I realized the only reason I was angry and upset and lost was because someone happened to take a cell phone video of this officer murdering George Floyd, which forced me to think about all the other incidences where there wasn't a cell phone around, or before video cameras ever existed, the countless lives stolen by the hands of privileged white officers, white men and women. Because this was not an isolated accident. This was not a bad apple or officer gone rogue. This has happened far too often, all throughout our nation's history. And even worse, this is not news to many of you who are listening. If you are a person of color in this quote unquote great country of ours, this is something that you know all too well. Something that you lived and experienced firsthand. But to me, a naive and a foolish white man who thought our differences had been resolved in 1865, 1920, 1965, 2008. I thought we were doing better. I thought we were okay. I was wrong. I was stupid and ignorant, and I was privileged. I was wrong. But I'm also a U.S. Senator from the great state of North Carolina. And suddenly I saw what my purpose was. Not to sit at home, at church, and pray for things to change, but to actually do something about it, to stop other families from having to suffer the same tragedies. For as the good book says, person is justified by his works and not by his faith alone. So my work begins right now. I believe we must dismantle the systemic racism that this country was founded on, and that begins with restructuring and rebuilding our police forces across every state from the ground up to make sure that events like these never happen again. Now, this ain't about getting rid of cops completely or doing anything that's going to make our streets unsafe. It's about living without fear. Because too many of our fellow citizens are afraid of their lives every day, afraid for their sons to walk home at night wearing a hoodie, afraid for their daughters to be pulled over while they're driving a nice car with their friends, afraid their lives will be taken simply just because some white person deems them to be less than. Huh? People say that this system is broken. Our entire criminal justice system is broken. Now I see, the system is not broken. It was designed to work this way. Designed to work exactly how the people in power wanted to work, to keep them in power. It's a literal race where one group gets a Ferrari, everybody else has to chase on foot. But this is supposed to be a country where all men are created equal, where all endowed with certain inalienable rights. But liberty and the pursuit of happiness don't mean squat if you're worried about getting choked to death or shot while you're out jogging or sleeping in your own home, or doing nothing more than just simply existing while the color of your skin happens not to be white. Now, I know I'm late to the party. I know I'm just another middle-aged white man finally waking up to see that racism didn't end after the Civil War or after the Civil Rights Act got passed. It continues in plain sight. Only most of us are too blind and too busy and too fragile to really see what's happening to our friends, our neighbors in our African American communities. Now, I can't begin to understand their pain and their anger, to witness men and women sworn to protect and to serve, to kill brothers and sisters time and time again, not be held accountable, and not get fired, not get disciplined, not even get sent to jail, to see their white friends and neighbors and politicians just like me do nothing about it. Stay silent, privileged, and apathetic. Well, not anymore. Because turning a blind eye and praying for this to go away isn't the answer. Staying quiet out of respect to the victims of this kind of brutality isn't the answer. You think the families of Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Philandro Castile, Eric Garner, Freddie Gray, Alton Sterling, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd would rather have us sit on our hands maybe another 10 years or so, while maybe another 1,000 or more people die. Out of respect? I don't think so. It won't change. And I need you to help make that change. I need you to help make that change, to speak out with your vote. And that, my friends, just might return this country to what it was meant to be, to what it was supposed to be, a place where men and women of all colors are created equal. So, this November, I ask you to vote like your life depends on it, because it does. Otherwise, we're doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past, mistakes that me and other members of my party have been allowing and even promoting for far too long. I'm talking about Jim Crow laws and segregated schools. I'm talking about redlining and gerrymandering and rampant voter suppression, all designed to keep minority voters feeling hopeless and scared and powerless and unengaged. But your vote can send a message saying, you won't take this kind of injustice anymore. Your vote can give the power back to the people, not to the politicians. Your vote can change. Your vote can change America for the better. Because everyone in this country can affect change. Every soul can make a difference. It just takes a little courage, a little caring, and a whole lot of follow-through. Earlier, I promised not to take up too much of your time. I've been speaking now for just over 8 minutes and 46 seconds. That's how long George Floyd couldn't breathe. That's how long he had to think about his death. That's how long it took the rest of us to see that our humanity is broken. 400 years, plus 8 minutes and 46 seconds.